Firstly, very warm welcome and welcome along to our Business Showcase interviews. My name is Ron Maycock. I'm the owner of Action Coach Castleford and also of Business Performance UK. Now, I'm delighted to say that I'm joined today by Jeremy Meadowcroft. Jeremy works for Finance for Enterprise, and we'll be hearing a lot more from Jeremy in a few moments. But very good morning to you, Jeremy.
Morning, Ron. Nice to be here.
It's great to have you on. And so before we get going, I really wanted to explain what the purpose of these interviews actually is. We're surrounded by some amazing businesses in our region. They've each got their own stories to tell. And these interviews help us share their journeys, showcase their achievements, and ultimately maximize their exposure, all in the name of abundance. And it's for the benefit of businesses across the UK, not just in our region. So without further ado, Jeremy, do you want to tell me a little bit more about Finance for Enterprise?
Yeah, sure. Well, Finance for Enterprise are an unusual organisation. We're called a CDFI, which confuses most people, which stands for a Community Development Financial Institution, which is essentially a social enterprise. So we're a non-profit organisation, and we are a conduit that we take government funding and we lend it to businesses that can't access mainstream funding. So we're really there to do what other people don't do, not really to compete with other lenders and other banks. And as a social enterprise, we measure what we do on the social impact of that lending. So rather than producing a set of profit and loss, we produce a social impact report that says, this year we lent, say, 15 million to businesses, and those businesses contributed 80.1 million to the British economy and created or protected 1,200 jobs. So that's the impact of what Finance for Enterprise do.
No, it's really interesting, and I'm guessing it differs slightly from some of the grant funding based organisations, which, as great as they are a little bit measured on bums on seats. There's no final impact measure. Whereas other people are actually, for my own business, I'm obviously looking at what the impact is for the actual business that we work with. And in the same way, you've got that social impact that you're not just going, this is how much we've lent, but this is what it's meant in the local economy, which I think is a really, really good thing. So within that, what's your role? Where do you cover, and what sort of areas are you focused on most?
So my role is a business lending manager. So I'm basically getting the inquiries, helping people through the application process, which is extremely manual. So we use no computers to make any decisions. We don't use credit scoring. We don't use algorithms. We use grey-haired ex-bank managers like me who've been lending for many, many decades. And we assess every case on its own merits, because every case is different, and there's a reason why a case has come to us, because somebody else has probably said no. So I'm spending my time meeting clients face to face, walking them through the application process, trying to make that as simple as possible, and then I'm assessing them and on balance deciding whether or not that's something we can lend responsibly to help a business to grow. And that's really what my role is. And so, to all intents and purposes, I guess I have a lending target. But I signpost a lot of people that if it's not right for us, or if somebody's wanting equity or something like that we don't do, then I spend a lot of my time signposting people to other people in my business network as well. And that's what I do here.
And how do you find most of your business comes to you? Who's signposting to yourself?
Well, like you, Ron, the value is in your network, your experience, the wider network outside, and a lot of people know of me because of my background or the roles that I've done, and therefore I hopefully attract referrals from people who say, I don't quite know what to do with this, but I know Jeremy will probably know, or will know somebody. So a lot of my referrals don't come primarily from accountants and banks and brokers. They a lot of the time come from the business network, where somebody might be helping a business with a marketing plan, or they might be helping them with a succession plan, or a startup plan, or a growth phase. And at some point in that development, they need some finance to help them achieve that. And that's often when they'll come across me and say, oh, we'll give Jeremy a call because he's quite well connected. So I really treasure that, and I really value that, the value of our network, helps our clients, and that's a much nicer way to do business.
So you mentioned the broker network. In certain areas, I'm guessing, if it is a network of brokers rather than just an independent, they would, in certain instances, compete for that deal. So I guess within finance for enterprise, then, why would they come to you as opposed to a broker? What's that sort of differentiator in terms of options, I guess, of why they should come to you rather than a broker who deals with, you've been rejected by a mainstream bank, but off we go from there?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, the reason why people come to us is because we're a little bit like that game of bagatelle, where you fire a ball bearing up to the top to the mainstream lenders, and when they say no, the secondary lenders, and then the tertiary lenders, and you get down to, and when they've all sort of missed the gap, we're there as a gap funder. We pick up those people that fall through those gaps. So brokers do refer to me, accountants do refer to me, and banks do refer to me, but they come to us because they know we do unsecured loans when so many other people won't do. We're accredited by the British Business Bank to deliver the recovery loan scheme. So many other people are not accredited. We are the fund manager of the Northern Powerhouse Investment Fund, a huge £550 million fund across the whole of the North, from Sheffield up to Scotland. And so we have high accreditation and are given funds that other people don't have access to lend unsecured, which is pretty high risk lending, really. But we deliver that not because of the money that will be made, but because of the social impact. So brokers get that. And also a deal could often be that somebody has got a 60% of the loan agreed by a bank or a finance provider, but the broker can't get all of it. So they might come to us and say, we've got 250 agreed here from lender A, but we need another 70,000 unsecured. Can you help us to get that deal over the line? So we can often be a blended solution with another lender to help that client's development and growth.
And do you do anything with match funding of grant applications?
So because we're a non-profit, we often get thought that we're a public sector organisation, and we're not, and we're sort of working in a commercial world. But very much so, that is the circle of my contacts. And often a grant will only be paid if it gets matched funding. So yes, we can sometimes get inquiries to say, we've got this £50,000 grant to develop this project, but we need another 50,000, and I can assess that. Or otherwise, somebody can again come and say, the project is only, the total project costs this amount, and the grant is only 15 or 20%. Can we lend the rest of that? And again, it's this blend of responsible lending, looking for other options and saying, well, hang on a minute, I can signpost you to a grant here or a fund there, and I'll lend the net amount. And it's doing everything with the client at the center of what we're trying to achieve. How can we help them get the best outcome for them? And who else can I signpost them to in my network if there's somebody better than us? And it's doing that the right way that I think hopefully gets you known as somebody who's helpful to clients and provides solutions when it's the right thing to do, and provides introductions elsewhere when that's the right thing to do also.
It's quite refreshing to be honest. The reputation associated, and probably well earned reputation with a lot of the financial markets, is it's about the ROI and it's about the serviceability rather than it's the right thing to do. And that's a wonderful differentiator. So who's it for? What's your optimum deal size? What are your parameters? And who is likely to be your prime target audience for the service and for the products?
Yeah, well, the great thing is the product range is really simple. We just provide term loans from 25,000 up to 250,000 pounds, unsecured loans. So it doesn't matter what the fund is, that we've got access to a number of them, but it would be a term loan. So typically 110,000 pounds over, say, 5 years, to enable somebody to take on an extra contract, expand into a second unit, buy a machine or something, train some more extra staff up who are going to conduct and run that increased capacity, and subsequently they'll grow their revenue and they'll grow their workforce. And that's really the lovely side of it. And we go back and measure this. This is how we produce an accurate annual social impact report to say, did we lend to people that were creating jobs? Because we tend not to lend to people who are going to replace people with a big diesel machine. We think about things like that. So a typical loan would probably be anywhere up to 250,000 unsecured, and by definition we lend to those gaps. So go back again to banks, they have credit policies. Lenders have sector policies, sectors they prefer, sectors they don't prefer. So by definition we don't have any preferred or unpreferred sectors. And we do a lot in manufacturing, but we actually do a lot in retail and hospitality. And these are sectors that are probably out of favour at the minute. But because we really get to know a business, get under the bonnet, get to know the owners, understand what it is they're trying to achieve, we can demonstrate responsible lending and debt affordability. So we can say, okay, maybe we do that over a little longer term to make it really affordable every month, in every season, in every year. But we never charge early redemption charges. So you can always pay us off early if you want. But can we make that affordable so that you can achieve that? And that's typically the deals we look at. So across all sectors, all sizes, all ages, all geographies, you name it, we do get the unusual and the far-reaching, and that's what I love, and that's what I think we pride ourselves on doing, finding the right deals to help the right people that are adding value to Britain's economy.
It's interesting because, as you say, a lot of more traditional lenders and mainstream lenders will run a mile from anything to do with retail. The reason is it's business to consumer, and I'm guessing there'll be lots of people listening to this going, hey, look, we've tried, but the moment that they go, oh well, it's not business to business, you've not got invoices on a regular basis, sorry, computer says no. So actually having that ability to say, look, it's still a great business, still a great opportunity, just because your end customer happens to be the consumer rather than another business. So what? I think that's great.
Absolutely, Ron, and that really underlines the algorithmic lending decisions that so many lenders use. And you understand why they use computer systems, but we don't. And for that very reason, we can say, we can see why you're wanting to buy this complementary business because of what you do. Or we can see why the offering you've got is really something new in the market. And we can see the appeal of that. We can see that customers love what you do, not just on paper because you do it so well. We can see the demand is different for your business than just generically your sector. And you really do have to spend time, and you have to have done years of lending to understand that and go, yeah, do you know what? I think this is a really good business, and I think you've got a really good angle here, and I think you're deserving, and I think you are supportable. And they're the decisions that we love and enjoy doing, And you got to remember, for somebody who's lending £32 million unsecured on our debt book, we've got default rates so minute that you would wonder, but it just demonstrates that we lend to good people and good businesses, and we make generally good decisions. So we do love what we do and we enjoy it.
Excellent. Well, that certainly comes across, and for again, for those who might not be as familiar with the terminology that's associated in terms of the financial lending market, unsecured, is there any form of guarantee, personal guarantees? Do you underwrite it in any way, shape or form, or is this all driven by government funded money, which is underwritten by the government? So what does unsecured actually mean to the mass public who are going to watch this?
Yeah. So if you're a sole trader or a partnership, then any lending you have, you're personally responsible for anyway, because in law, sole trader and partnership is the same as the individual. If you're a limited company, then obviously you can say, oh no, I'm just the director. So personal guarantees are often used only for lending to limited companies to tie the directors in so that they don't just, put their hands up and walk away from the responsibility. But when I say we lend unsecured, that means we have no hard security, no property, no cars, no machinery, no stock. but it also means that if we take a personal guarantee from the director, we take what's called an unsupported guarantee. So we take a letter of promise from the director that they're standing behind and taking responsibility for this debt, but we're not taking a charge over the marital home, putting two of their children in our safe, taking the second set of car keys. We don't have any security like that. Now, through COVID, there's been a lot of government support, and a scheme that's been running for decades is where the government give a guarantee to the lender. Now, that's been going through the 80s and 90s and noughties, and it's been going enterprise finance guarantee, small firm loan guarantee, and I could bore you with loads more acronyms. The current scheme is called the Recovery Loan Scheme version 3, and that will go to at least 2024. We're accredited to lend under that, and the government give us a 70% guarantee for loans that do default. So therefore, we only take a personal guarantee for 25%. So we're really responsible with that as well. And I do see a lot of other lenders taking a full 100% guarantee, even so. So what we're trying to do is be fair, be reasonable, but also ask people not to walk away from their responsibilities. But we're not tying anything in. So that's what an unsecured loan is. That's what the RLS 3 scheme is all about. The government giving the lender some peace of mind to encourage them to lend, because it's the lender's capital. And we have a lot of different sources of funds. So we have plenty of capital to lend, and it's long term, so we don't have to worry about that running out. But it means that we can lend through those schemes to businesses and hopefully help them to grow where they do lack security. But that's not a reason not to borrow.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you mentioned that there's lots of different sources, but where primarily are you funded by?
So the primary one that most people will have heard of is the British Business Bank, who fund Northern Powerhouse Investment Fund. Now, what the British Business Bank do is they don't lend to any customers directly. They give the money to people like us, a CDFI, an accredited, licensed, non-profit lender. So we have an open credit line, if you like, to lend Northern Powerhouse Investment Fund. Now, that's only for business to business and can only be used, from Blackpool to Hull, from Sheffield to Scotland, Scottish border. Below that, there's another fund called the Midlands Engine Investment Fund. So that's one of our funds, but we have other funds, so we can lend to B2C businesses. I'm lending at the minute to a client in Cornwall, would you believe? I've just lent to a customer in Sheffield, and I've just lent to a customer in Hampshire. So we don't have geographic limitations because we have multiple funds, but primarily British Business Bank, so the UK government, major banks also fund us because they like what we do. It ticks their ESG or social responsibility guidelines, so we help them with their objectives. And then there are a number of legacy funds where governments have lent money through various schemes, various different ideas, and those funds are still going, and they need somebody to manage those, because as customers repay them, we need to lend that money out again. Remember, we don't take a profit, so we're not drawing anything off this. So when customers repay us, that means we can fund that money out a second time and a third time and a fourth time. It's called debt recycling, and it's superb. So, a slug of £5 million over 10 years will probably get lent out, 3 or 4 times over. And that's a great way of making money work hard to drive the British economy.
It's really interesting, and I'm hoping people are listening to this and going, I had no idea this existed. They'll have probably gone through something that we term in coaching as learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is based on their experience, where they just go, well, there isn't a solution that's going to help me out of this. And actually speaking to you today and going through this sort of process, I think it's really enlightening, because there'll be businesses out there just going, oh God, I've been so frustrated. I've gone to so many different sources. I've tried and the only thing available seems to be, payday kind of loans, short term, high interest, and that's where I've been forced. And it doesn't help anyone in terms of building further debt into a business. Ultimately, when there's a great concept, a great idea, a great business, it just needs the right level of support. And even some of the the RLS and things like that, and various different schemes that came out of sort of lockdown, they were, I'll not say rushed, but they were introduced into a circumstantial market, and because of that, they perhaps had certain flaws. There were certain gaps where people fell through the cracks and weren't accessible to those. And something like this, if it fills those gaps, if it plugs those gaps and actually says here's available funds, then it's a fantastic thing. So get in touch, speak to Jeremy, speak to Finance for Enterprise, and find out what's available, and move your business forward from there. So that's starting to bring us towards the end of the interview. Jeremy, anything else that you'd like to cover, or
No, I
thought
thought
the majority, or we put the world to right?
You've summarised quite well. As a CDFI, we're actually part of a network of CDFIs. There's about 40 of them in the country. Interestingly, if you go to America, there's about 350. And this is a model that's been going for over 40 years. The first one was invented in 1973. So don't think by any means this is something new, or it's a government initiative that has only come out of COVID. We've been doing this before, during, and after, and it will continue long into the decades going forward. So we're here for the long term. So we're always accessible, Ron. And unconscious learning. Once you know about us, you think, wow, that's brilliant. So spread the word and give me a call. Always happy to help.
Fantastic. Well, that does bring us to the end, and so I'd just like to thank Jeremy for sharing with us today. It's been very insightful, and I say hopefully this will give a lot of different people a few different options of how to move their business forward. The more is more, as I started the interview and said, it's all about abundance, and the better the economy is doing, the better you're doing, the bigger the economy is, and the better everyone does. So it's in everyone's favor to get this right. So if you're wanting to showcase your business, if you've enjoyed this interview and want to showcase your business, just get in touch. It's all about sharing your journeys. It's not about what we do. It's about giving you the spotlight with your business so that you can educate a wider audience and actually increase your own reach. So get in touch if you're interested in doing this. So just remains to say big thank you again to Jeremy. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for everyone for watching. This has been yet another of the Business Showcase interviews, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.